Labour has been making waves and complicating the UK's relationship with the US, with senior figures repeatedly criticising the new US President, Donald Trump. But in a move that has left Parliament stunned, the Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change, Ed Miliband, has now taken things a step further. During a recent session, Miliband made a shocking statement, claiming that the UK must prioritise working with China, even as tensions rise on the global stage. His comments have sparked a flurry of reactions, with critics arguing that this approach could risk the UK's relationship with its most important ally, the United States. Take a moment to watch this clip and hear Miliband's words for yourself.
So, in the absence of the US, if China takes on a more prominent role, what scope is there for constructive UK collaboration with China to achieve good climate outcomes for the UK?
I suppose the truth about this on China is there is no solution to the climate crisis without China, because they represent such a huge level of global emissions now. And this is a point my US friends, Democrats and Republicans make. And so, of course, part of what we have to do as a UK government is work with China, among many other countries, to drive forward climate ambition.
Okay, and turning to the EU then, the UK does have an obligation to cooperate with the EU on both climate trade, international obligations. And what work are you doing with the EU to push that forward around these shared international objectives?
I think it's a really good point. Wopke Hoekstra, who was the EU representative at the talks, and I worked incredibly closely along with John Podesta, who was the US envoy, along with Brazil, obviously the future hosts of COP30. And I think, where these talks have succeeded best is when you have developed countries that want ambition, or blocks of countries, working with the vulnerable and developing countries who see the existential threat to drive that forward. That was very much what didn't happen at Copenhagen, what did happen in Paris. I think to an extent it did happen a bit in relation to this finance goal, the NCQG at COP29, and that's what we're doing. So relations with the EU are really important in this.
Do you think it's an opportunity for closer alignment of some of our environmental standards?
I think there's a separate discussion, sort of, if you like, separate from the COP process, about how we can work with the European Union for our economic benefit, including in these areas around energy. But I think the reality of the negotiations is that absolutely it's crucial to these negotiations that we work incredibly closely with the EU.